Welcome to week 4 of the Coaches Show with head coach Aaron Dunham. Coach, thanks for joining us again this week.
Hey, thank you, Zane. Really appreciate it.
All right, coming off a big win, Dumas beats Perryton 27-25. It's a wild game, an emotional game, and a game of wills. And eventually Dumas able to impose their will as they had all night on the ground rushing the ball. Scoring to take the lead to open the fourth quarter. We get a stop on a go-ahead 2-point conversion, gave us a 20-19 point lead. Get another touchdown on the ground right after that to widen the lead to 27-19. Perryton gets the ball back with, I think, about 3 minutes left. They drive down and score, go for the game-time 2-point conversion. We stop that. Parker recovers the last onside kick to seal that road win. Talk about your team's resilience in getting out that win in Perryton.
It was wild, to say the least. And so, but I think expected. I mean, that's a game that's been played for 84 years now. Two teams that were in the same district a lot of times, a lot of those years. And it's a great ball game. We knew it was. We knew it was going to be a good ball game coming in. Perryton has a really good football team, and then they even proved that to me even more that night. I was really impressed with the way that they played and how hard they played, and then impressed with our kids as well. It's a tough place to play. And I thought, that we battled all night. It probably wasn't the pretty win that a lot of coaches want. But we found a way to win. Winning is not an easy thing. Everybody's trying to do it. So I was really proud of our kids to find a way to win. And as you go through some of the highlights of that game and how we won, I thought our kids just did a really good job of staying the course. Adversity hit us a lot. And, I'm a believer. And I believe that, without those opportunities, without those setbacks and adversity, we don't have a way to grow. And so I believe those were put in front of us for a reason. And I'm very, very thankful, for our coaching staff's resiliency, our kids' resiliency, and how to win a football game there. So very, very proud of that.
And let's talk about your team's overall ability to overcome 4 first-half turnovers, 3 of them on 3 straight drives where we fumbled the ball in the second quarter, but also what I felt like is uncharacteristic of our team, 80 yards in penalties that we're able to overcome those, even in spite of those things, because you don't normally talk about coming out of a game, being able to win, turn the ball over 4 times, and 80 yards in penalties on top of that, but we still get the win.
We did, and it just gave us an opportunity. To discuss and talk with our kids about how we respond. Mm-hmm. We responded and came away with a win. But in those individual battles and individual situations within the game, we didn't respond very well. Yeah. We didn't respond to some. It was a heated game. It was battle and in and out of it, and there was some pushing and shoving and just some hard play between the whistles all night long by both teams. We didn't do a very good responding and reacting the way that we need to. And so that gave us an opportunity to talk about that type of stuff and really, I believe, focus our kids up. Prior to the time, all of this pre-district stuff, all these pre-district games are all opportunities for us to learn. Yep. We're going to see many different ups and downs, and we're going to be put in some adverse situations. We're going to see a lot of success. We're going to figure out how to handle that. We're going to see some down moments, and I'm just, I'm thankful for the situations that do arise, because it just, it's never about the game here for us. It never is. It's always about teaching our kids life lessons. And I believe there's no place besides this game that you can learn that better. And I'm very thankful for our staff and our kids that take that approach in what we do in these games and how we respond to adversity and how we teach life through the game of football.
I think what's good to see, and I think and I hope that this comes across even on the broadcast of these games. I watch the game through a pair of binoculars, and so I can, I'm like seeing, especially at a place like Perryton where the press box and the field is like closer,
sure,
to the action there. And I never saw a sense of everything's tumbling down, everything's coming down from the coaches, even to the players. where there was never a sense of, oh man, we're losing it. Oh, what's going on here? After every single one of the turnovers or setback, whatever it might have been, there was just this sense of calm and focus, and let's just do what we do.
Sure. And we meet before every game. Our coaching staff does. We gather in a huddle. We pray. We talk about some things that that's going to happen, how we're going to have to respond, and that's something that we always talk about. Adversity will hit, and we must respond. We must respond in the right way. And I just think that we continue to talk to our kids about that. We continue to. That's just a process that we have, and I think you've seen it from years and years of Dumas Demon football. Is that we are pretty even keel. We're never riding the waves. We're too high. We're not too low. And I just I think that's just a testament to our staff and our kids of what we believe and how we believe that we're never out of a game. And I think you have to be. If you do ride those roller coasters, a lot of times in a game like the other night, you'll find yourself on the other end because you didn't respond in times that you need to. 4 turnovers. We talked about previous to this about how we were doing not turning the football over.
Sure.
We played in 2 games and had 0 turnovers. And so it hit us, but it gave us an opportunity to really challenge our kids and focus ourselves up and find a way to win the game. So I'm really proud of that.
Let's kind of transition here. Let's talk about the defense for a second. They're obviously put in some tough situations. Having to overcome those turnovers and needing to get big plays where you're relying on those guys to give your team a chance to win. Your linebackers combined for 34 tackles, 3 tackles for loss and a sack. The safeties, Parker and Tanner, they combined for 13 tackles on their own. Then your rotation of the D-line, Jaden, Nono, Hector, and Pierce, they combined for 17 tackles, 1 tackle for loss and 1 sack. So talk about the play of your defensive unit.
Yeah, I thought we did a good job. There are some times where, it's one of our team goals is that no touchdowns after turnover.
Mm-hmm.
We did give 2 of those up. We gave 2 touchdowns after a turnover, and so that's something that we want to get better at. We definitely talk about it and recognize that. But beyond that, I do think our defense was put in some tough situations, and at times, we answered the bell. That we stood up and we got the ball back to our offense. I think the big one really wasn't even after a turnover, but in the second half. Each possession of each half is very, very important to us on the defense side of the football. And we came out the second half after a lot of adversity in the first half. And we came out, and I thought we flew around and did a really good job on defense, got that first stop of the second half, turned it over to our offense. Our offense went down and scored, and here we are right back in the game 13-13. And so I think that's something that, our team is doing really well of right now. Is just that we're offensively and defensively, we're both just, we've got each other's backs. I mean, in a time where, maybe we might not be playing very well on defense, I think our offense does a great job of controlling the football and getting down and scoring. And then on the other side, I think our defense does a great job of really holding our own, in times when our offense is going to struggle. And that's a team. And we talk about it over and over. You talk about our offensive system, about how we just spread the football around. We just be it. We're us. We don't have a superstar here or there. Same on defense. You talked about the different tackles from the linebackers, the different tackles from our secondary and from our defensive line. I think there's a lot of trust. There's a lot of trust on this football team, and within the scheme that we're all going to do what we're supposed to do. And we did. It wasn't pretty, but we found a way. There when they go for 2 2-point conversions, I mean, any one of those fail, the game ends differently.
Sure.
And so I was really proud that we found a way to win the football game.
Offensively, getting past those first half turnovers, you're really able to establish a pretty dominant rushing attack. Even in spite of, even in the midst of those turnovers, we seem to be moving the ball every time. I don't even think we punted the ball in the first half, which we gave it to them 4 times.
We did.
But you gained a season high 323 rushing yards. You averaged 6.6 yards per carry, and we gave the players the game to the offensive line for that effort. How do you feel about the offensive side of the ball?
I think we're growing. We've talked about our offensive line and how we would, we were behind the 8 ball a little bit starting the season, and we would see these kids mature and grow. And I think that's what you're seeing. A lot of, that goes to Coach Schaefer and Coach Diffendaff, our 2 O-line coaches that take a lot of pride in the way that their kids play, whether we're struggling or whether we're really playing well. They take pride in that and ownership in that. And they've done a really good job of preparing our kids and getting them ready. I think here we are going into the fourth week, and we've seen great growth in our offensive line. I think those guys are really starting to gel and play really well together. I think with that, I think our running backs are really starting to run the ball tough. We're starting to see things. Yeah. A young running back will have to go through a process until he really sees the holes and understands where he fits in that system. And so we're doing better every week. I think all of our running backs are doing a better job of seeing and making the cuts that they need to make, and just our style always, they're running tough, running really, really tough. And so proud of our offensive line. I think y'all are spot on when you gave them the player of the game, because they deserve it. Anytime that you rush for 330 yards, it's going to be a pretty good night for the Demons.
For sure. So tonight, big homecoming matchup. Got everything that goes on with the homecoming week. It's going to be the 17th year in a row. I couldn't believe this when I went back and looked at it. 17th year in a row that Dumas has played played Plainview. Dumas has won the last 7 of those matchups. And we actually lead the overall series 13-10. So let's start defensively with what the Demons are going to need to do tonight on defense to stop the Plainview offense.
Coach Haddock and his staff has done a really good job there. I mean, they have, they've been really, really working hard to change the culture there and really invested a lot of time. And you're starting to see it. You're starting to see the way that they play. They're currently 1-2 right now, but they've had the opportunity. They very easily could be 3-0. Lost one game to Pampa by 4 points, lost the game to Wichita Falls High by a touchdown. And so they're a good football team. And I think we're going to have to, they're very, very versatile. They do a lot of stuff on offense, a bunch of different formations, a bunch of tackle oversets, and just present different things to you in a lot of different ways. And so we're going to have to be really sound and locked into our game plan. We're going to have to make sure that we align properly first and foremost, that we get our guys where they're supposed to be. And then, we're a defensive formation. We always have been. And so, Aurelio's going to have to do a really good job of checking and getting us in the right fronts. And then they've got some really good athletes out on the edge. They do a really good job of getting the football to the guys. They're playmakers. They've got a young quarterback. He's a freshman, but really has a really talented arm. Does a really good job, and a lot of their stuff is on timing. And so we have to do a good job of showing different coverages, getting in and out of things, and then trying to really manipulate, the timing a little bit and try to get them off course a little, because, the ball snapped, there it goes. They're going to get it on point. The receiver's going to be there. They're going to catch the football. So we got to do a good job of really getting them out of that timing. I think, our defensive line play as far as pressure is going to be really good. We cannot let them sit back there and have us cover for a long time. And so I think those are the keys, is to get them out of that rhythm. And then when we do, we've definitely got to still be sound and stop the run game.
Yeah, this is not a typical, what I would think what we've seen, at least over the last few years, a typical Plainview team offensively. They're averaging right now 69 offensive plays a game, so they're going to get out there and try and snap the ball and do as much as they can.
They are, and they're what their system is and what their scheme is. They do a really good job of it. They try to get the ball out fast, and they try to get it up to the receivers, and the receivers do a really good job of going up and making plays. And so, very similar in my opinion to what we had to do with Estacada. Estacada has some really talented receivers, and they get the ball up to them, and there's some opportunities for jump balls. There's some same of these opportunities, with Plainview. So we're going to have to do a really good job of eliminate their ability to go up and get the football.
So because of their style of offense, what it does on the other side of the ball is they have also their defense has been on the field for a lot of plays. So what is Dumas going to need to do offensively tonight to be able to move the ball and score against Plainview?
Well, I think, anytime that they snap the ball 69 times as an offense, I think that has a direct correlation to what's going on the other side of the football. And so we're going to have to do a really good job offensively, I think, of controlling the clock, possessing the football. That goes with turnovers. Yeah. Anytime that they have 69 snaps and you turn the football over and give them another opportunity, we've got to eliminate that. So ball security is first and foremost. I think we rely on the people that have got us here. Our offensive line is really starting to gel and mold and do some really good things. And so I think we've got to still be able to run the football and do that. But I really would like to challenge our offense a little bit more and be a little bit more explosive. I'd like to see us be a little bit more dynamic in what we're doing on offense. We know that we can run the football, and that's something that we really. But I would really like to, if it presents itself. Each game is its own.
Sure.
A lot of times, the passing game doesn't present itself, and like you talked about in the Perryton game, I mean, why would we go away from 6 yards of carry? That's pretty good offense. And so, but if it does present itself, I would really like to see us, be able to throw the football and be a little bit more effective in the passing game.
Sure. I mean, we got some playmakers.
We do.
Difference makers that are outside there on the offensive side.
We do, and we're getting some guys healthy. Oliver Ortiz is back and played well, and so we're starting to get some of our guys back. Jace Harris now has made it through a couple of games and is really starting to get better. And so I'd like to see. As Emmanuel gets better as well and starts to get more confident in his system and in our system and what he's doing at the quarterback position, I'd really like to, open up a little bit and be a little bit more diverse on the offensive side.
For sure. Well, it's going to be an exciting matchup tonight as we face off against the Perryton against the Plainview Bulldogs here on homecoming. So, Coach, let's kind of move on. We've kind of started this new section with the quick hits, personal picks. What would you consider is the coolest stadium that you played in high school?
I was from a small school, so didn't play in all these massive stadiums, but it was also a time before, all the state championships games were played at Cowboy Stadium. But we did. I played for 2 state championships in high school, and probably the best one and probably the biggest one was Pennington Field there at HEB. Mm-hmm. We played a state championship there against Tennahaw, and so that was probably the biggest and nicest stadium that I played in during my time.
Oh, that's pretty neat. Talk about what a typical week looks like for you, your coaching staff, your team. What does a typical week look like?
Sure. We start early. I mean, coaching staff is here at 6 a.m., 5:30 a.m. every day. So that's Monday we come in, and Monday's our big game plan day. So we come in before the athletic period. We bring the kids in and we start, with the game plan. Monday's our game plan. We go over scouting reports. We get all that done, and then during the athletic period, we always going to use for athletic development. We lift weights. During the athletic period, we watch film. Tuesday we come back again. Coaching staff there early in the morning. Tuesday during the athletic period, we watch the practice from the day before with our kids. We lift weights. And then Wednesday we come back. Same thing. Coaching staff is there really early. Wednesday we come back. We watch the day's practice before, also our opponent game film as well. And then Wednesday during the period we go out and we work special teams. We go through every phase of our special teams on Wednesday and make sure that we're prepared and ready for that. And then here Thursday we do the same thing. We come in the morning. We watch the day before's game film or practice film. Again, a little bit more opponent. And Thursday we do a thing that we call kick the field. So we try to get in through every situation of a game. So we're offense is on, offense is off, special teams is on, special teams off. We go through our hands team, our extra. Every form, everything. We take a safety, we punt or kick off from after taking a safety. We just try to put our kids in every situation that they're going to see in a football game. That is our sub-varsity games as well, and so we're preparing for that. Some coaches are going through walkthroughs with our JV kids, with our freshman kids, and then Thursday night is our sub-varsity game. So it's we've either got a freshman A and B team game here, or we've got a JV game here. We do a walkthrough on Thursday with our varsity, and then we go through. We have a team meal as well on Thursday night with our kids. That's a really, really special time for that we've really done with our program. Our moms get extremely involved in that. That allows our moms to really connect with football players, something that really doesn't happen. A lot of times football is a male-driven sport. Dads get really involved with their boys, but this is an opportunity for our moms to really plug in to our football program and really get involved with our kids. And it's really a special deal for us. It's something that I really like, and I think our kids generally really love it as well. I know our moms do. And so that happens on Thursday. Friday morning we come in. Friday morning we start a little bit later, but we bring our JV kids in. That's time for film and flush out. They lift weights, they run and condition and get over their game on Thursday. We bring our varsity kids in, we lift weights on game day. And then we have a team breakfast with our varsity kids. Again, another opportunity for us to just gather and continue to build our football program outside of the field. And then Saturday we come in at coaching staff is usually here at 7 a.m. I'm here a lot earlier than that. And then we bring our kids in at 10 for film and flush out. we lift, we watch the film, we talk about, we hand out individual awards. And then that takes us into coaching staff usually is here until about 2:00 on that day. We get all of our data broke down of our opponents and in the computer. And then we come in on Sunday. Sunday is a really, really long day for me. I start Sundays at probably about 4:30 in the morning, and I don't finish it until 7:30, 8:00 at night. And so it's a long day. Sunday's really long for me. I get in early, and then I leave and go to church with my family. And then I have our staff is able to do that as well. And I bring our staff in at 1:15 on Sunday, and we have a staff meeting, and then we do whatever's required to get us ready. Scouting report, finalize our game plan, make sure we're all on the same page and we're prepared for Monday with our kids. And so that's the process over and over each week.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that people understand, as the fan would show up to a game on Friday night and kind of see what's happening. I think they don't quite understand the work and preparation that goes into, a 2.5 hour, 3 hour game that happens on Friday night.
There's been a lot of preparation go to it. And, I think we've got a staff that believes in leaving no stone unturned.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to make sure that we do everything within our power to make sure that our kids are prepared and ready to play on Friday night. And so there's a lot of investment, not only on our coaching staff, but a lot of investment for our kids. We really, really are pretty demanding of our kids, all the time. It's not just during football season. We're pretty demanding of them in the summer. We're pretty demanding on, that we're getting our summer strength conditioning, that we're playing 7-on-7, that we're doing our lineman challenges. And it's a year-round process. When football is over, we're demanding that our kids are getting involved in second sports and really, really, buying into our culture here at Dumas, which is we're going to be multi-sport athletes, and we're going to help everybody that we can win in Dumas.
Yeah, and it's a focus on this is not just preparing you for a game on Friday night. It's preparing you for what you're going to deal with when you get out in life, and realizing that there has to be preparation in your job. There's going to be times in your job where you're you've got to go over what your scheduled 8 to 5 might be. To work, and it's getting these guys prepared not just for the game, but for what they're going to deal with when they get out of the game.
Sure, and everything that we do still does not guarantee victory.
Sure,
and I make sure that our kids understand that. But what we are going to do is we are at least going to make sure that we deserve victory, and the only way that you can deserve it is to fully invest and make sure that you do everything within your power to give you an opportunity to win on Friday nights and to win outside of this, to win in life, it's always about winning the day. It's always about, serving and doing those type of things. And so we're definitely going to invest not only in our football team, but we're going to invest in our community. We're going to invest into our relationships. We're going to invest, in just becoming better people. And so really, really proud of what we've built here. And in order to do that, our community has bought in. It's not an easy task for parents either. When we're pretty demanding of our kids, we're pretty demanding of parents' schedules, parents' vacations, parents' time as well. And so very, very thankful that our community has bought into it as well.
Special place for sure. If you could see any matchup between two college teams, who would it be?
Alabama and Georgia.
Oh yeah,
would be a big one. Also I think it's a bucket list. I would like to see the old Iron Bowl. I'd like to see Auburn and Alabama play. I think that'd be pretty special. But I'm gonna have a hard time doing that with my current job. So, but I can wish and think about it and dream about it.
It'll be one day.
So yes.
For sure, that'd be incredible to see. Before high school, what's your best childhood football memory?
Before high school, I was little. I was always, my early years of being an athlete was really undersized and little. And so when I played, youth football, there was a weight. You had to make a certain weight. The running back couldn't be too big, nor could you be too little to play the sport. And I was a little bit under the too little. Yeah. But I loved the sport and knew I wanted to play. And so when I went, this is funny now, but when I went to weigh-in day, and it was the same day you went to weigh-in, you got your gear and your shoulder pads and helmets, I was underweight. And so I knew I was. And so I put 5 or 6 rocks inside of my pocket to make sure that I would be over the allowance to be able to play. Yeah. So that's a memory that that we talk about. My parents laugh about it, and I've told that to my kids as well, because my youngest right now is a little toot as well, and so but there's hope. I mean, he'll be all right. He'll grow, because I grew one day. So
that's awesome. All right, well, let's move on to our picks. So last week we were both 2-0 in the high school games. Vegas is not going to be using our picks. We don't have to worry about that. We both went 5-4 in the college games. So we'll have 3 picks this week in high school. We'll get to add Perryton to that. But what I think is the game in the 806 is between Wichita Falls Rider. They're coming to Lubbock Cooper on this Friday night. Who do you got in that matchup?
It's a big ball game. It's a game that's, I think they've had like 8 or 9 matchups. They always play each other for the last 5 years. I think the last 4 or 5 years, they've played each other 2 times within a season, because they match up again in the 4th round. And so it's become a rivalry. I mean, obviously they changed, divisions, and still are playing the football game. I think it's going to be a really good one. And so I think it's a toss-up. I think that could go either way, but because they are coming out to Lubbock Cooper, I'm going to go with Lubbock Cooper in this game.
I am too. I think this is going to be an incredible game. Lubbock Cooper has played some games. I mean, I think our game was, just a really incredible game between their matchup, and then the one that we talked about last week, playing Abilene Wiley, ended up just being a back and forth deal where Lubbock Cooper scored last and they won the game.
Sure.
So I agree with you. I think Lubbock Cooper at home, it's going to be tough. I mean, that place has been wild.
Sure.
I think they played Friendship there the week after us, and it was a sellout. And I saw this week, I think on Tuesday, they had already sold out.
I bet so. I bet. It's going to be a good game.
It's going to be awesome. Lubbock Estacado travels to Levelland this week. It's going to be rough setting there.
It is. I'm definitely going to take Estacado in that matchup. I believe they've just got a little bit more firepower and horsepower than Levelland. And so I'm going to take Estacado in that game.
Levelland's kind of struggled this year a little bit, so I agree with you. I think Estacado taking that short little road trip over to Levelland is going to be all Matadors.
Yes, sir.
This next one, again, is another intriguing game. I think it's an interesting matchup. A big rivalry game between these two teams. Highway 83 battle, I think is what they're calling it. Perryton traveling down to Canadian.
2 really good football teams, and Canadian has lost a couple of really close ball games, but I still think they're extremely talented, really, really good football program. But after being on the field, with Perryton, I know what they have as well. And Perryton's got a really good team. I think this is going to be a huge, huge matchup, and a game that I believe could go either way as well. I think it's going to boil down. Canadian does a really good job with their offense, and really, the high powered and being able to throw the football down the field. I think it's going to be really big. I think Perryton's going to have to do a great job defensively in stopping that. But I think Perryton has the edge a little bit, and I'm going to go with Perryton in this game.
Yeah, I was very surprised with Perryton last week. They have, I think, have gotten so much better under Coach Habither, and I think he's doing some good things there. It's hard to imagine that Canadian could be in a situation where they're looking at losing their 3rd straight game.
Sure.
I don't know how long it's been since that's happened.
Sure.
But I'm going to agree with you. I think Perryton goes on the road in what's going to be a battle, an awesome game.
It will.
And I think
Perryton's size up top, of their defensive line and offensive line will have a really big impact in this football game.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see. So we got some college matchups, some really good ones. I love early season college football because you see games that you just aren't used to seeing.
Sure.
Especially the way that, I guess, with how the the bowl, the playoff is going. Sure. Teams know that they can't just schedule soft.
Sure.
If they're going to get in there, they're going to have big games. So the first one is an old traditional matchup between Oklahoma and Nebraska. Oklahoma's going to travel to Nebraska. Now, Nebraska fired their head coach on Sunday.
Sure.
And so, interesting game there as Oklahoma goes to Nebraska.
Very interesting. And I think it's going to be, I think, the interim coach right now is going to really have his kids fired up and really excited. I do think there's going to be some things that they're trying to prove. I mean, especially if he's in the evaluation stage of possibly taking over that program. He's got some things he's going to prove. But again, I think Oklahoma's a little more powerful. It has too much. I'm going to go with Oklahoma in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I can't imagine Oklahoma losing this game, but this was kind of one of those weird kind of trap games that,
Sure.
I could see Oklahoma going to Nebraska and coming out with a
Sure.
loss. I mean, that is a just traditionally tough place to play.
Yeah, especially, even the way they've been playing as of late, still sell out crowds each Saturday. And so they really love their football in Nebraska, and they're gonna do a really good job of coming out and supporting and making it an environment that's going to be pretty tough for Oklahoma.
This next one's a wild West Coaster between number 12 BYU, number 25 Oregon. Again, this play. It doesn't matter if Oregon's down or if they're good. Going to Oregon's a tough place to play. But BYU coming off a massive win against the top 10 team in Baylor.
Sure. And that opened my eyes. I wasn't really prepared. We talked in our pick'em last week, and I just, I was pretty impressed with BYU and the way that they fought and beat Baylor. And so, and I've also been swayed a little bit on Oregon. The beating that they took, from Georgia when they were, I want to say, ranked number 11 at that time. And so, just off of some of the games and some of the past, some of their previous games, I'm gonna go with BYU in this game.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I'm gonna, just because I want to pick against you.
Sure.
I'm gonna go with the home team in Oregon and see what happens. Next one's another interesting game that you just don't see. Two massive traditional powers in Penn State and Auburn. Penn State travels down out of the familiar Big Ten country. You're going to go to SEC country, play at Auburn.
Big football game, and I was impressed with Penn State in their previous games and finding ways to win. And this is going to be a tough one on the road at Auburn. And I think this could be a toss-up. I think it could go either way, but I'm going to go with Penn State in this game as well.
I think so, too. I think Penn State, again, just what I've seen, I just watched a lot of Penn State football. But, the style of what Big Ten does, run the ball, defense, heading into the same type of deal that, with the SEC going into Auburn. But I see Penn State coming out on top.
Sure.
Another interesting matchup, Michigan State travels to the West Coast to play Washington. Michigan State comes in ranked number 11. Both these teams are 2-0. Another interesting matchup.
Sure. I'm not familiar with both of these. I mean, I know Penn State, or I know Michigan State always has a really good football team. And so I don't have a lot to talk about. This is probably just going to be a pick 'em for me, but I'm going to go with the ranked Michigan State.
I'll go again with the West Coast home team. I don't have any idea what's going to happen in this one either. I don't think I've watched a second of either one of their two games. But I'm going to go with Washington just to be different. So the game's big different. These next three are going to be Texas teams. And this next matchup, to me, is going to be a puzzle. Jeff Traylor has done an incredible job at UTSA. With some of the players he's been able to recruit, I mean, they play in the Alamo Dome. It's an awesome place to play if you're a college student. But they're going to travel on the road to play down in Austin.
Sure, and I'm extremely impressed with with what Coach Traylor's done there and the program that he's built, and he was one of us and an ex Texas high school football coach. But that's a tall task. I mean, I was very, very, very impressed with how the University of Texas played against Alabama, and I just thought it was. I've even heard Alabama players talk after this. Will Anderson talked about the environment and probably one of the most exciting games and one of the toughest plays that he's ever played in his career. And so I don't know if this is going to be built up quite like that, but I do think the Texas fans are pretty impressed with the football team that they have from week one. And so I'm definitely going with Texas in this ballgame. I'm
going to pick against you. I just don't like picking Texas.
Sure.
I think UTSA has shown some things this year,
sure.
and even past couple of years building up. And I think for them, this is their Super Bowl.
Sure.
And I think that they've been preparing for this one. I think they're ready. We'll see.
Sure.
I don't know what I'm talking about, obviously. Texas Tech plays a big one on the road this week. Again, one of these crazy matchups. Tech going on the road to number 16 NC State. Going to be a tough one.
It is, and I like the things that's going on at Texas Tech right now. I think they, had a really big win against Houston. In overtime, they showed a lot of resiliency and some fight, and I think this is going to be a tough one on the road at NC State. I think it'll be a really tough ball game, and so not that I necessarily want to pick against a Texas team, but I think NC State's going to win this game.
It's going to be tough for Texas Tech this week. I'm going to pick Texas Tech just because I bleed red and black and love them. And again, what I saw last week out of this team that to me is different with Joey McGuire is that was not typical of how they finished that game.
Sure.
As they took some hits and things were not going their way, and they responded incredibly.
They did.
Somehow found a way to win. This last one, I think, is probably the matchup of the week in college football. It's funny because what we talked about could happen happened, but we didn't pick it.
Sure.
Appalachian State came in to College Station last week and I think surprised the college football world and won 17-14 over Texas A&M. Texas A&M has another massive home game this week as they welcome in Miami Hurricanes.
They do, and we knew Appalachian State had that ability. They've done it. I think they show like 2 times in history where they've
done
really
it more than anybody else.
Where they've really done that. And so I think Miami's going to come in and get a really maybe a little pissed off Texas A&M football team, and so I think A&M bounces back, especially with it being at home. It might be a little bit different if it was at Miami, but I think A&M bounces back, and I'm going to take A&M in this football game.
I can't imagine A&M. The atmosphere that Miami's going to come into is going to be pretty raucous, and I agree with you. I think Texas A&M's going to take this one.
Yes, sir.
Well, hey, Coach, thanks for joining us again this week. Again, homecoming week, so a lot going to be going on. I think it's going to be a huge crowd this week at home for this game. Good luck tonight as we get ready to face off these Bulldogs, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks for joining us again. This is Zane Powers, joined by Coach Dunham. Get ready for the game. Demons getting ready to take on the Plainview Bulldogs.
The First United Methodist Church of Dumas is a Methodist congregation founded in 1901 and has been ministering faithfully to Moore County since the beginning. Their doors are open to any and all who wish to come and worship and serve God within the Methodist traditions. Give them a call today to learn more at 806-935-7200. Designs and More supports our area youth and is the premier hometown source for Demon and Demonette fanwear. Their professional designers can create custom embroidered caps or shirts. Let Designs and More turn your next business design into a masterpiece. Designs and More, 608 South Dumas Avenue, 806-935-7518.